So about a year ago, there was a lot of talk about this certain anime that everyone was hating on. The anime hadn't even come out yet, and we had already seen all this hate. This show's gonna suck. This show's this. This show's that. And then me seeing this, it actually piqued my interest. And a show that I might have not even have watched, it caused me to watch it. I said, let me check out this show. So I watched the first trailer and was like, wow, this is very interesting. When the dubbed trailer came out, I was like, wow, this looks pretty good. So the first episode comes out of Black Clover. And then I'm like, okay, let's watch this show. It has so many haters. And it hasn't even come out yet, so it must be good. So as I'm watching the first episode, I'm like, wow, this show looks freaking good. I can't wait for the next episode. I watched that episode, I'm like, wow, that's good. I can't wait for the next episode. And it's just good. To me. But then I see a lot of people complain once they actually watch the show. And there are basically two, maybe three main complaints that most people were making. Number one was that Austin sounded like a shrieking gorilla. It sounded like I grabbed a chimp and he was just squealing or something, and that was Austin's voice. And I thought, well, yeah, you're right, he does sound kind of annoying. But then I didn't really see it as much of a problem. And then the English dub came out, and I thought the audio was actually much better in the English dub. And Asta did not sound like this shrieking gorilla. He sounded pretty much normal. And although he still stood true to the character in the English dub, and of course he was still trying to be annoying and screaming and stuff, but he didn't sound crazy, if you would, like the Japanese sub. But it was better. And of course there's the people that they won't even acknowledge that the dub exists because they just hate dub for no rational reason. Yeah. Anyway, next reason why people were hating on the show was because they said it takes pretty much every stereotype of shonen anime and makes it into one show. Which I say, no. And it's like, literally, so, he wants to be the Wizard King. Okay. Every shonen anime has a go. Even if you watch sports anime from Shonen Jump, they all want a goal. They all watch Haikyuu. He wants to be the ace of the team. That's his goal. Is he copying like other animes? Like, come on, guys. Let's be serious. Let's be like, I don't even know what words to come to my mouth. I'm speechless. But the next reason kind of leads up from that is that they're like, it's basically a copy of Naruto. And I would say I can see where people get that idea. He says he wants to be the Wizard King. Naruto says he wants to be Hokage. But again, so what? Literally, so what? Every character in every Shonen Jump that is the main protagonist wants to have a goal. Although the reason why I see this anime different than other animes like My Hero Academia, where they're not really saying that they're a copy of Naruto, even though My Hero Academia, you can see so many influences from Naruto, but that's a whole separate video. But with Black Clover, you see that Asta is constantly saying that he wants to be the Wizard King. And now that's an obvious influence from Naruto. More obvious than Deku, who says he wants to be the number one hero. Because in Naruto, he's always saying he wants to be Hokage. So that's obviously where people are going to draw to the conclusion that this is copying Naruto. But that's just one aspect of the show. When you look at the whole show as a whole, it's way different. Yes, Yuno looks like Sasuke. He kinda looks like Sasuke. But he is nothing like Sasuke. He just kinda looks like him. Asta looks nothing like Naruto. They have different faces, they have different body types, they have different hair. They're kind of both blonde, but they're two different shades, you know, it's not even the same. So I really don't understand why people say he looks just like Naruto, or even sounds like just like Naruto. There's a lot of people that say that too, and I completely disagree. I feel like you would just need to get your ears checked. And if you're saying he just looks exactly like Naruto, I feel like you're just exaggerating, you know? So anyway, it is a year later, and that's how I felt in the beginning of the show, when the show started. How do I feel now, a year later? Do I hate the show now? Well, the easy answer is no. But I do like it less. Unfortunately, yes, I like it less. I don't want to like it less, but I just happen to. Although the show is coming back up. It's coming back up. I'll tell you my reasoning why. So, the show had an arc where they were in a dungeon and they were fighting off this guy named Mars. You guys should remember this if you watched the show. That is where the show probably kind of went downhill, right after that arc. Because right after that arc, that's when Asta meets the Wizard King. And then in that arc is when the capital gets invaded. This sounds interesting, but when you watch it, they just introduce so many characters that the show acts like you're supposed to care for them, but you just met them, and the show's telling you they're important, but it doesn't feel like they're important. We don't know these characters. Why should we care about them? It just does not give you the feeling of why should we care about them. And then it's like, it's just completely distracting us from the main characters that we thought were going to be important, which was basically the whole Black Clover squad. And so after that arc, I was like, okay, finally, the show's gonna get good again. After that arc that I found pretty boring, actually. So then the arc actually gets a little better, but then it starts talking about the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And I'm thinking, where is Mars? What happened to that storyline? And then they show the Eye of the Midnight Sun, and we have this big battle with this guy named Licht, which I thought was pretty freaking awesome. This show was getting better, but I still didn't really care that much. Because, first of all, I thought it was kind of rushing it. Like, I felt like the show was just trying to rush because it was feeling all the hate on it, and it was trying to rush to get to, like, the main villains and the action. But I felt like it just wasn't giving us enough story with these villains for us to care for them. And then Licht gets beaten, you know, by Captain Yami. And Austin learns how to sense ki. How did he learn that? I know in the show they kind of explain it, but in reality that made no sense. He just learned how to get ki because he needed to, and it was just whatever. Which was, okay, fine. Anyway, then we start this arc where they're trying to find the magic stone in the underwater kingdom. This was basically the last arc that just ended. In this arc, again, I was bored. I was really bored. I was hoping that we were gonna get somewhere. Of course, with the arcs, I do find myself entertained by the comedy. The comedy's fine. I love the comedy. But it's like when it comes to the story, first of all, Yuno was basically becoming unimportant to me at this point. Although Yuno most definitely is going to become important, obviously. They, at the end of the arc, they definitely talk about Yuno. Well, Asta says Yuno. And he's definitely going to be important, obviously. He's Asta's main rival. But in the story-wise, he felt so unimportant at the time. And this Underwater Kingdom arc just did not feel that well to me up until the main battle with Veto. As I'm watching this, Veto was actually becoming more interesting, and Veto is what made this arc make the show come together. It just brought the show back to me, and I was like, this finally feels how the show felt in the beginning of the series. that's where I felt the show was going to come together. And I truly believe at this point in time that the show is going to come back to how it was in the beginning of the show. Because I feel like the first 3 arcs of the show was its high point. And then it just had basically 2 arcs, maybe 1.5, that weren't so well. The show was never bad in my opinion. It just got a little boring. So at this time, I would rate the show out of a 1 to 10. I'd give it like an 8. So there's that. So that is basically the most honest review you're gonna get, the most moderate review you're gonna get of Black Clover. 1 year later, Black Clover still isn't bad. Not as good, but still isn't bad. I know a lot of people disagree with me. They're saying, "Oh, the show got way better." I'd say, well, I think the show was better when it started. But the show is actually coming back, and I'm very interested to see what Asta becomes. I love Asta. My favorite character is Luck. I'm so curious to see what Yuno is going to become, how they're going to deal with these relationships of the Black Bulls, because they literally told us all their backstories in this one arc, and I enjoy learning about them. I wish they would have focused that on them earlier on instead of all these side characters. But, you know, the show's correcting itself, and I do believe this show is going to be good. And I hope this show becomes more popular. I hope it gets the recognition it deserves of being a good show and not a copy of other animes. But anyway, guys, that's what I think. If you guys disagree with me, you can always tell me in the comments. Don't worry, I won't argue back, or maybe I will. Whatever. But, yeah, guys, so that's it. Till next time.